Okay. Okay. Good evening, social media or community. I'm glad to be here this evening. My name is Elder Ken Seaman. A few guests tonight is Brother Kenneth Matthew. I'm going to bring him on at this time. Brother Matthews, say hi to the people.
Good evening, Elder Seaman. Good evening, everyone.
And other guests, Brother Ryan Durant, and bring him on at this time. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, good evening. How you guys doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good evening, brother.
Good. How you doing, sir?
Yeah.
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Cool.
And this evening, we're talking on Boaz Man Up. Boaz Man Up over 30 and a man under 20. What do you feel about that? And we're going to go to different things at this time. It's all in the book of Ruth. That's what we're dealing with this evening. Man of mighty value. I look in that book, I see so much that's for today. Although it's so far back, but it's current today. And we can see that today.
Sure.
So let's get mighty man. Like I said, we guys being over 30s, we can give some advice possibly to the 20s that may have questions of how we come along, how we be in the church, how we survived. Times have changed. So we definitely see that. It's not the same as it used to be. I wouldn't want to be in this age bracket right now. It was a little easier when we was coming up, but today it's a lot more challenges with media.
Oh, absolutely.
So much. I tell you, it's amazing. And Ruth 2:1, Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's mighty man of wealth of a family of Elimelech. Brother Rent, how you feel about that?
Say it again. I couldn't hear you. I think you kind of dipped out just now.
Ruth 2:1, and Naomi had a kinsman of her husband and a mighty man of wealth of family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. You read the story, I'm sure, about Boaz.
Yeah, for sure. That was a deep one there. You know, I mean, it's a lot of things, like you said, it's a lot of things you could take out from it, from being back then, and obviously you could apply it for today. So, yeah, it's juicy, that's for sure.
And Brother Matthews, how you feel about that?
I look at it. A kinsman is like family. You know, it was a mighty man. He was a man of wealth. He was a family member. He had money. You know, he had standard in the community. You know, so yeah, that's Boaz. There was a lot speaking about him at that point. Yeah, definitely.
I myself, as reading through it, it really touched me of how he came to the wicked, as we would say today, seeing widows been through so much. He opened up his arms, his wealth, to share with them. He didn't have to do that. But I'm looking at that as like we can be examples as well, because sometimes we may see somebody in need. God has blessed us. Why not share it? But some of us want to hold it for ourselves. I'm thankful that I can look and see that example that he gave. And it's so, like I said earlier, it's so current today. Seeing what he done. He kept himself there, allowed her to pick up the field. I mean, he had his vineyard, and he said many servants, you know. So I'm really seeing all that there. I'm really touched my heart as reading it. Never read it like that before, but I read it. And Ruth, the Moabite, said unto Naomi, let me go to the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find grace. And he said unto her, go, my daughter. So he's given permission to go in his vineyard and take what she needed. You know? How you feel about that, Brother Matthews?
Well, it's awesome because he allowed that, because seeing something, reading that and knowing the issue back in them days, they didn't just allow anybody to go in their field. They didn't allow anybody to just go pick the crop. And what was left in the field was really for the field. She was allowed permission, and so that was a kind of his heart. You know, that was generous of him. You know what I'm saying? Really, because we don't
Yeah,
today.
I mean,
You know, we don't let nobody
Mhm.
go in our store and just shop and go and buy
that's,
things like that. You know, today
I
people
think of
are
like
so
night
selfish.
farming.
You know.
I think of like you see
Hmm.
lots of gardeners have fields and people go in there after hours and take what they want. The night farming, stealing the crop. And he
Yeah.
didn't look at it that way. He allowed to share what's left over, you know, and it weren't any bad stuff. The stuff was still rich in the garden. So he allowed to share it that in the need, you know. All right, you see in your picture as well. Speaking about that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was even thinking about, Bermudians, we guys got the loquats. We don't really like people taking our loquats and stuff, but like you're saying, like, out the generosity of his own heart, he was just like, yeah, take what you need. Take what you need back home too. Like, so that's pretty good.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, today, like some people, they won't share it. Don't you talk to the court
No.
police? Say, no. But he saw the need, you know, her being a widow,
Mhm.
and like I said, she don't not only took it for herself, but she shared it with her mother-in-law, and he allowed
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know that.
Mhm.
You know, so many benefited from his generosity.
Mhm.
You know, as he kept himself, he just made sure that the servants weren't going to touch him. No, let her do what she got to do. Let her take what
Yeah.
she wants to take. I just want to go to another one here. Let's see.
Yeah, that was interesting too. What you say right there, Elder. You know, can you hear me, Elder? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Testing one,
Yeah,
two.
yeah, you know.
That was interesting. What you just said. He allowed her to do that, and he told the others, you know, to allow her to go ahead and pick of this reaps or what was left. And not, you know, I was actually, I don't want to hope I don't jump the gun a little bit, but he even
Yeah,
told the others to drop a few ears of corn and leave a few there
Mhm.
so she can
yeah,
get it.
yeah,
You know, that
yeah,
was really kind-hearted of him. You know,
Mhm.
so go ahead.
yeah. He
I'm
had a rich
sorry.
heart. You
Yeah,
saying something,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I would say he had a loving and caring and kind heart because he knew that how Ruth took care of Naomi. He knew that how she came in because they were kinsmen. He knew that they were
Mhm.
Mhm.
her husband had passed, and yet she stayed with her mother-in-law, where she could have
Right.
went
Mhm.
back to her own country and done what she needed to do. But she stayed with that, and that showed some integrity, some caring and compassion for her mother-in-law, some
Yeah,
love and
Naomi even told her to
understanding.
go back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
Mhm.
begged her to go back. Actually,
Yeah.
she begged her
yeah.
because
That's
and
it.
the other daughters, she told them, go back, go ahead, go back to you know your country, go back to your people. And after they left, Naomi told Ruth, you follow them, go with them.
Mhm.
And she says,
Yep.
no. She says, I will go where you go. I will have the God that you have, the same God you have. I will die and be buried in the same land that
Mhm.
you die in. That was deep.
Yeah.
It
That
is.
was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
a
know what I'm
few.
saying, Deacon?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, for
That
that's
was
sure.
like,
amazing.
I mean, how many of us today can say, you know, I'm gonna go with you, and where you die, I'm gonna die, and where you get buried, I'm gonna get buried, and what
Mhm.
you eat, I'm gonna eat. You know,
Yeah.
And serve your God too.
and that was
That's
the ultimate of it all. She said,
yes.
and the God you serve, I'm
I
gonna serve, because where Ruth came from was an idol god.
yes, yes.
She was an idol god, and she adopted the true Jehovah God, the true God that Naomi served. You
Mm-hmm.
know that, and that's why I believe, and this is just my belief, that she got favor from God.
Mhm.
You know, because she served the real and risen Savior God. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah, I was like, wow. You read the story, you say, man, I know that I can't just follow somebody. You know, I just
Mhm.
can't follow you. I got a mind of my own.
Mhm.
You know, what do you mean I'm gonna leave Bermuda, my home, and I'm gonna go to wherever you are? Oh man, wow.
Yeah,
That was
that
really,
scripture,
really that was yeah.
that scripture
Mhm.
came to life. I mean, reading it is one thing. The more you read it, the more it came alive
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Mhm.
really like spoke
Mhm.
to you. Like, really, all of that?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder how many of us would today would really stretch our arms that far to
Yeah.
that extent. You know,
That's
we
deep.
say it, but will we really do it? So like you said,
You 100% right, Alda. We say things, but are we really going to act on them? Are we really going to do them? Are we really going to follow through with them? You know, and she followed through with it, and with integrity, you know, and with courage and conviction. You know, that was like, wow. You know, she could have left and say, "Listen, yeah. She's a young woman. She could have said, look, I'm going to find another man. You know, I'm going to find another husband. You know what I mean? I'm going to find somebody who's rich. You know, because that's what the young people say today. I'm going to find somebody who's rich, so I don't have to worry about working. I don't have to worry about doing anything." But she said, "No, I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to stay with you. You know what I mean? I'm going to be right by your side." And I'm saying to myself, how in this day and time, we don't have that conviction?
yeah.
That takes a lot. That takes a lot.
Right. You was say something, Ryan, about when you were speaking?
No, I was just saying, like, you know, like Brother Matthew said, you could say anything, but then until you're in the actual situation to do it, that's a whole different weight right there. So, I mean, she could have easily said, well, there's probably a God waiting for me back home, but I'm going to go with my mother-in-law and sort out. Like, that's a pretty serious ask right there. I don't know too many people that I know would just be like, yeah, I'll do that. When I have possibly more for me somewhere else, I'm going to go. That's not normal. That's not a conventional way of thinking, but like the blessing that she got from it was pretty intense.
You know, and when you were speaking, brother, you know what came to my mind was part in there where it said, where Naomi said to her, "Well, you gonna stay around? I'm not got no more sons to give you. I'm not no more, you know, because the other day she married the next one. I'm not got no more sons to give you. And if I did, you gonna wait around till it's old enough? You know what I mean? Right? Because then, you know, so she told me, you know, you might as well go." And she said, through all of that, she says, "No matter what, I'm gonna stay with you." Man, I even today, as a Christian man, a man of, you know, stature, I still say, what conviction and how much does she really have in her heart? Because that took a lot. I mean, that's giving up everything. That's not giving up just some things. That's giving up everything. You know, and she done it with 100% conviction. And man, you know, I look at that and I say, man, that took a lot. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Alda?
Oh yeah. Got a little question came in from Allison. What advice would you give to those under 30 about taking care of the village? And do you try to do this the same? Any of you can answer, right? You want to answer that one? What advice do you give those under 30?
I mean, I'll just give my own story. Like, I mean, when I was coming up, I'm still youngish, I think. But you know, when I was coming up, I always remember like my family, like my parents, my grandparents, aunts, uncles, like it was always a husband and wife there. And obviously when I was little, I wasn't really saying, oh, that's how I want my life to be. It was just something that was natural. But it was just something that I just noticed from the time I was little up until now. Like, I mean, you know, you grow up and you find out things aren't as perfect as you might have thought they were. But it was still like, it still doesn't mean that order wasn't correct. You know, like from what I saw growing up. So, you know, that's just something I'll take with me forever. That just, you know, just being a provider, just being a rock for the family. It's definitely going to be hard. It was hard back then. It's hard now. It's going to always be hard. But you know, it doesn't mean that the order in which that you're operating in is wrong.
Matthew, what you feel? Okay, thank you.
God's order, of course,
well,
then you're on the right path.
That's it. Foundation.
Yeah.
Brother Matthews.
Brother hit the nail on the head. You know, when we were growing up, there was a difference. Like I grew up mostly with my grandparents more than with my parents. You know, my parents had separated, but you know, I still watch my father. He provided financially, but he weren't there all the way with the father part of it. But my grandparents, because I grew up, my grandparents, but my grandmother and grandfather were united in the same thing, and they believed in God, and they worshipped, and they prayed, and they did all those things. And I watched how my grandfather provided. But you know what was so unique that this area is that my grandfather, you know, and my grandmother used to say, "Go take Miss Jones some of these vegetables," And I'll get over to Miss Jones's house, and Miss Jones will say, "Go take Miss Smith over there some of these eggs." I'll get up to Miss, and I ride my bike, right? And it be getting dark. And when I get out to the next lady's house, she says, "On your way home, drop this off to somebody else," because they had that knitted community back then that I don't see today. We are fragmented today. We're separated today. We're not, as knitted as today. Now we see that in the church. We see that in our loving and caring in our church. But outside of our church, in the community, it's not as bonded as they were back in the days. And I'm a little bit older than my brother there, but I can see the difference. Yeah, I'm not going to tell my age either, brother, but I still look good because God's favors on my life. That's what I said. But I look back now and see the difference that it was from then to now. And looking and reading the story of Ruth, you can see how Boaz took care of not only Ruth, but the mother-in-law and the reapers in the field, the families in the union. That was like, who is this guy? Yeah, who is this guy? You know what I'm saying? Because he is unique in his own way, and unique in that. And I when I read this story, I get goosebumps all of me, because the Spirit touches me, lets me know this guy was special. You know what I'm saying? He weren't just anybody, because if you later on in the story, you find out why he's special, and then I won't jump the gun, but
not yet.
He was special, even in his little deeds.
Yes,
he was special. And that's so. Today, I look at why are the people the way they are, and correlating it the way it is. The young men today growing up, how they have to look at people today. It's different from the way we did.
Yeah, I appreciate that. My concern is a lot of fathers are not really training the children like they were brought up. It worked for them. Why won't you pass it on to your youth so they can get the same benefits and blessings that you have? That's why I see many days where they don't take out time for the children. So busy doing other things. They'll take out and show them the way. I've seen a lot now in the gardens. A lot of people are planting their own gardens. Get them out there, get them involved. Get them the hands touching these vegetables, and you see the benefit of it. What come forward, the joy they see as it springs up, like corn sprouts up overnight almost. Those type of things, which a lot of them don't do that, but some other people are getting into it nowadays and planted in personal gardens, and I'm seeing that. Which again is part of that nourishment and teaching hands-on.
Yeah,
that they can learn
hands-on. That hands-on thing. It brings back to memory when you spoke about when I was a young man with my father. I remember when we were getting ready to go to church, how I didn't know how to tie a tie. So he showed me how to tie a tie. Just that simple thing of tying it. And I take pride when I get dressed for church and I'm tying my tie, because I remember my grandfather who taught me that hands-on. That relationship, that bonding that we had. So I have pride in that. It's the, like you said, Elder, it's the things that join you to that unite you with our ancestors, my ancestors, and even today when I pray I said the same God that my grandfather and grandmother believed in, and that's it. Oh man, I said the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The same, and I pray this every single morning. As soon as my feet hit the floor, before I get up, really out of bed, I sit on the edge and I pray like that prayer, because that is so important. I see that. Anyway,
I was just thinking back to when I was small, when my parents and I were dropping people home from church or somewhere at night, I would always have to walk the other lady to the door. Got in safe, and even with my grandpa, I have to be, opening the door for my granny when she's getting out the car door, just that small stuff. I'm just like, yeah, I remember learning all that type of stuff. And it's like, it's a second nature to me now to do that type of stuff.
Yes. Got another question came in from YouTube to Ryan. Have those examples helped shape who you are now and looking forward for your roof?
You have to check YouTube, see who that was. But yeah, definitely. Like I said in the last statement I made, opening the doors, closing the doors, walking the female to the door, even stuff like walking where the traffic is closest to you, or the female walking on the inside.
Right.
Like that type of stuff. I don't even think about it now. It's just react, because
Right.
that's what I learned when I was in primary school and middle school and stuff like that. So yeah, the second part of that question, we'll see.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
I was brought up that same way myself, because they always in the Bible, they always kept the right hand free, as you had your wife on your left hand. So that was your protection. You're fighting off if anybody was trying to hurt them. It's amazing. That's still today. The sword, they hold the sword in the right hand.
Right.
But hopefully that people remember that and keep that tradition going, and not just tradition, but it's protection. And we should protect not just our wives, our children, and keep forward. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful about that.
Boaz knew that too, Elder. Boaz knew that too, because Boaz told everybody else. He says, "Don't harm her. Don't touch her. Leave her alone." He protected her, so he was protect. So Boaz knew the same thing that we're talking about now, how to protect and take care of. He did the same thing. So we can learn today from the example that Boaz showed us.
Yes.
In the scriptures, So that I related it to that when brother was speaking, and brother when I related it to that, how that's right. She's got better walk on the inside. And if you forgot it, you quickly remembered. You quickly remember and say, "Yeah, I'm not being a gentleman. I mean, I got." And if she said something, you say, "I'm protecting you. I'm protecting you." That's what you stuck your chest out too. You felt good there.
You open the door for it too.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
A question forward now. What type of man would you consider as a Boaz man in 2020? That's for you. Any of you to answer it?
In 2020, I first of all, I say Boaz asked permission to marry. He asked permission. He didn't just go up and just say. And so today, I think the young man should speak with the parents. They need to respect the young ladies and stop, disrespecting them. In ways that oh, look at this young lady, and what I mean, instead of painting pictures and images in their mind, the negative and the ungodly ones. They need to look at a young lady and respect her for as if she was going to be the mother of his children. So in today's time, it's I think the young man need to be and I want to put this right, need to be guided in the direction by the older gentlemen and the older people like myself and yourself and brother Elder, so that they can know that young ladies are a gift from God, because the word of God says, "He who findeth a wife findeth a good thing and favor with God." So if you find a wife, you found something that's precious, and God values that as precious.
Right.
So I think the young man we need to really respect them a lot more than we do. Yeah.
Let me just add to that. Me having 3 daughters, I look at it. I don't want nobody disrespecting my daughters. So I try to lead by example. I don't really disrespect anybody else's daughter. I try to keep that trend. Do unto others as you would have them to do unto you.
Right.
You wouldn't want anybody to come up pulling your daughter's arm and talking a lot of nonsense to her. So you shouldn't really do the same thing.
I have granddaughters, and you see me with them in church. I have granddaughters. So they're my pride and joy. So I know I know the young man better come up and talk to my granddaughter.
What do you have to,
Ask what are their intentions. Ask what because we were back then. They say, "Well, what is your intentions?" The father was asked, "What is your intentions?" Find out that your intentions are honorable.
It's Questions are coming in, so as they come in, I'm just gonna read them off.
Sure.
Surely.
As the absence of fathers in today's world hurt our young men, is this why some of these qualities are missing today?
Oh,
I feel,
I certainly think that. I mean, because I felt that I'm not sure since when, but there's definitely been a breakdown in society and structure and how things are supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, you have nobody to really look up to and say, I want to learn from that guy. I want to learn from my daddy or my uncle or my grandpa. It's like, because there's a major part of the pie not there. So apple pie without ice cream,
not complete.
so yeah, it's not the same thing. It's good, but it's not as good as you can get it. So I definitely think that the decay of the family structure has led to where we are. There's nobody to look up to and say, I remember my daddy taught me this, or I learned that by seeing my daddy do this with my mom. Like, your mama's supposed to be the queen, but if your daddy's not there to show you how to treat that person, then how you gonna know what to do when your roof comes along?
That's true. Examples.
There's definitely an absence. I agree with you 100%. There's definitely a an absence there. And first of all, let me say this and say this in order. I congratulate the mothers for the job that they've done.
Oh, sure.
But a mother cannot be a father to teach a young man how to be a man. The young men need a father image. They need somebody who they can emulate, somebody who's a mentor, somebody who's a role model. Because see, the role models have been missing today. See, they can't see someone, a young man who say, I want to be like him. When I grow up, I want to be like him. So what they do, they're left to their own devices, their own ideas, their own thoughts. And so their own thoughts are all misconstrued and all messed up. And so they don't know how to act. They don't know how to conduct themselves. So therefore they get strayed away and they think what they learn in the streets is what is the right thing. But they need to find out that the right thing to do is how to respect and be honorable and be courteous and be caring and loving and understanding and knowledgeable. Because see, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So if you ain't knowledgeable about these things and you don't know about it, or you don't have guidance in these areas, then you're lost. And that's what happens to a lot of my young brothers out there in the street today. They're lost, and I feel so hurt. So when I get an opportunity to work with these young men, I pull them in and say, hey, what do you think about this? And I throw questions like you're throwing at us, Elder. The questions like you're giving us today. I ask them and see what they say. Hey, but what about this, sir? Or how do you look at this? And then you see how their mind, and you say, wow. And then you find out that the father's missing at home. The mother's trying to be father and mother. The mother's trying to.
The worst thing about being.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What's that? The worst thing about being lost is that you don't even know that you're lost. So once you get to a certain point where nobody can tell you anything, it's really impossible for somebody to come along and say, what you've been doing for the last 20, 30 years is wrong. You're going to say, well, that's how I am. And it's the younger you get them, the younger you can train them. It's easier to actually develop their minds to say, this is what you do in this situation. So when you're trying to change a 30, 40-year-old man who's essentially a child, I mean, that you're banging your head against the wall.
Yeah, it take a lot. It would take God to change.
You're right.
And like I said,
and I have to go back to scripture. Scripture says, train a child when it's young is where he's good, and when it's old, he won't depart. Because what it's actually saying is train him and show him the way now while he's young. And like you said, brother, you know what I mean? It came innate to your character. You didn't have to worry about putting her on the inside. You didn't have to worry about opening the door. You just knew how to do it automatically. So it's, you know what I mean? And that's the same thing. When a young man is taught that when he's young, that, you respect the young lady, you do those things. So then that happens. And so he knows how to become a man. And even when it's in school or when it's in the street or when it's in church or when it's walking in a grocery store, he'll say, excuse me, may I please? Those things that become a part of your being, who you are, Yeah. Great stuff. Great question. Awesome question.
Yeah.
Got another question coming in for overseas. Are women today, like Ruth, willing to be looked after? What do you feel about that? Are they want to be looked after, or they just so independent they don't want
I was watching this movie years ago called Hitch, and one of the opening things he said was, no woman says I don't want to be swept off my feet today. I think they do. I just think there's an absence of those who can do the sweeping. So it's like they just become, ingrained in, wow, there is nobody out there. As unfortunate as it is, like I would say, it's dwindling. The numbers are dwindling. But you know, I think they want to be. I just think it's nobody. It's hard for them to put past disappointments beside them and say, you know, I'm gonna give this guy a chance, because you know everybody carries a hurt with them from a previous relationship. So it's just, you know,
That's
unfortunate.
true.
You're so right. You're so right. I've spoken, and I'm not going to bring my field of work in, but I've spoken with so many people, so many young ladies, and they said they've been hurt in the past, and they say there's nobody out there no more for them. You know, they believe that it's lost because the young men now are involved in drugs, or they're involved in gangster living, or they're involved in disrespecting, or they, you know, sit on the wall, or they don't want to earn a living. So, as far as a young lady being swept off her feet, they would love that to happen, but not necessarily say swept off the feet where they don't have to, you know, help support the household. They're not saying necessarily, you know what I mean, they want to be swept off the feet where they can just lay back and you have a maid for them. No, they mean swept off the feet by being loved and
Right.
cared
Yes.
for and nourished and understood, and where they can communicate, and they can be a partner, because, you know what I mean, it's a partnership. And that's what they're looking for, but they don't see that, because, you know, what happening is that you have some, not all, but some young men that are just want to figure that they want the young lady to get out and work and make the
Right.
money, and they can stay home, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
do that,
yeah.
and it's not so. You know, so
Not the right
so
order.
it has to be
Yeah.
right. It's not the right order. You know, I'm the breadwinner. I'm the one that's
Yeah.
supposed to go out there and earn and keep by the sweat of my brow. You know,
Yeah.
and when I come home, you know, and I heard Pastor say this a couple of times in church. You know, it's nice, you know, when you come home, that she can keep a house clean. You know, the baby's not crying with wet diapers, or, you know, she can cook a meal and not just, you know, throw bacon and eggs on the stove. You know, she can, you know, I'm saying, you know, so
Microwave.
those things, yeah, microwave. Yeah. So I understand. So, you know, and that's a job in itself. You know,
Right.
to keep house, you know, to keep a clean house and food and your clothes washed and those things, and be there for you when you're stressed out or want to talk, or, you know, that's a job in itself. You know what I'm saying? And that deserves, you know, all. And as a man, you know, I should be there for her when she's stressed, and she'll be there for me when I'm stressed. So that's being swept off your feet. That's a good nourishing relationship. And that's what it's all about right there. So I do believe young ladies want to be swept off their feet in a right way, in a nourishing way, and respected. And that's sweeping them off their feet. And then that way they'll become a good wife for you, because, you know, again, you know, you'll be glad to go home after a hard day's work.
Right.
You don't think it's, a lot of them seem to think, okay, they're making more money than the guy nowadays, so they don't really need a Boaz. You know, they're making probably twice his paycheck, so they can support themselves. How you feel about that?
But
I mean,
again, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, I just feel like, you know, anybody at this day and age, you know, nobody can say that you can't do X, Y, and Z or whatever. But it's just, when it comes to where you need somebody to talk to, you need somebody to put your shoulder on, all that type of stuff. I mean, good luck doing that by yourself. You know, it's just natural for a man to, well, for me at least, to say, okay, well, let me hear her out. You know, let me provide what I'm gonna provide for it. Let me be that rock for her. You know, you can't. It's just innate to me. I'm not sure if it's universal. I would assume it is, but I don't want to just speak out of turn. But I mean, it's our job, as it were, to be, you know, somebody who could listen, somebody who could provide for.
And and that's priceless, my brother. You know, I don't mind if my wife earns more money than me. Glory to her spirit. You know, glory to her, right? That she can earn more money than me. You know, because if we're together and we two become one, then what she earns is mine, and what I earn is hers. That's all come one. And and at that stage, you know what I mean, it's priceless when we can communicate with each other. It's priceless when I can lay my burden on her and she can lay her burdens on me, and we can work them out together. Money doesn't matter at that point. See, the problem. See,
exactly.
you know, and I have to go back to scripture, because the love of money, and not money, but the love of money, is the root of all evil. And a lot of people love that, and that's what you love is what you worship. And if you love that money, you worship that money becomes your God, and that money is going to be the root and the downfall of you. So you don't look at that if she earning more money than me. I don't care if she earns more money than me. I'm glad if she earns more money than me. Great. That means we can live twice as good, because I put mine with hers, and mine with hers gonna make a lot.
Yeah.
I hope that makes some sense. I hope that makes some sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, my concern be a lot of them may be by themselves. Suppose someone's knocking on your door in the middle of the night. It'd be
Exactly.
the right thing to man get up and see who's at that door.
Right.
If she's by herself, that's not a good thing.
No.
She's got
In
a
my
partner,
house,
you know.
in my house, every night before we go to sleep, I'm the one that checks that door before I lay
Right.
my head down. I make sure that
Likewise.
door's locked. I make sure their windows and their shutters are down. I make sure in my house. I can't speak for anybody else's house. In my house, because this way I know I'm the man of that house, and that's the way I do my household.
I do the same thing. I check the doors, the windows, make sure it's secure before I lay my head down. Just in case.
Right.
But, some people out there always looking. Another question came in. How do you feel about a man staying home and a woman working outside the home? That's a tough one for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Let's go to Ryan first.
Oh man, put me in the hot seat. Cool. I mean, in all things, whatever the marriage entails, I think there has to be some sort of communication. How come I'm answering the marriage questions? But
No.
it's all good.
I'm trying to get the feel out there, see how you feel. You might be
I can understand
some out there listening to you,
Oh man, less stress. No, in all things, whatever each person's role is, that has to be communicated beforehand. But I don't think it's anything attractive in choosing not to work. I mean, in situations, you get laid off, you get hours reduced and whatever. Some things is out of your control, but that doesn't mean that you can't fix the cupboards at home. Just how you would expect a quote unquote a housewife to fix the meals and whatever. You can cut the grass. You can fix the sink or whatever. I'm pretty sure it's school of YouTube. You can learn how to do that type of stuff. I'm an alumni of the school of YouTube now. But it's just certain things that is always something to do at the house. You could take your wife to work. I mean, but in all things, it needs to be that good level of communication. But I mean, purposely trying not to work is different than being unable to work. But I definitely believe that. I mean, if you have means to, you better go ahead and make that paper and do what you got to do.
Right.
Yeah. That's my stance on it.
Great answer. I concur with everything that brother said. Because in this day and time, sometimes you might not find something in your field, or you can't do it, and your better half can go out and do that. And the lines of communication, you said it perfectly, my brother. Long as the lines of communication are open and you all can bond on that and agree on that, it's okay. But if you decide that I don't want to work or I ain't gonna work, now I look down on that, because now you're not standing up to your men responsibility as a man of the house, as a father, or someone in responsibility, with responsibility. But if you two come together and agree with that, because they've got now where they have some fathers can stay home with the baby and still get paid, just like a mother stays home with maternity leave. Some fathers can. They've got those things. So our society has evolved into another era now. But we have to look at it. If the lines of communication, and that's the key, I believe, the lines of communication between the two have to meet and say that's okay. But if you're not communicating, or you're not, got on the same page, then I think something's wrong, something's missing. I think then you might need to talk with the elder, or talk with the pastor, or talk with, a counselor, or talk with someone, so that you can open those lines of communication and find out what is the missing link and join it back up so it can get right.
Yeah, and the same line of question. I mean, if my wife said, "Look, no, I make a lot more money than you. You take care of the cooking, you take care of cleaning the house," and she's happy, like you said, communication is open. I don't think anything's wrong with that if somebody said that, because it's together, working together as one. So if she's bringing in twice as much as my salary, and she's all right with that, cleaning, I know how to clean. I came there not to say it will, but you have to be flexible. You have to be able to flex with the situation, like Brother Kenny said, and keep it open channel.
Absolutely. My wife cooks. When she finishes cooking and we finish eating, I'll get up and wash the dishes. even though I bought a dishwasher, and I say, if
Uh-huh.
I'm washing the dishes, what does a dishwasher do? She says, well, you wash the dishes better than a dishwasher. I said, okay. So, but that's okay because she's cooked. Now,
Yeah.
if I cook, she will wash the dishes. So it's an even thing. So if she's making more money than me, and she says to me, you can stay home, and we agree on that, I have no problem with that. But I would prefer that I'm the breadwinner and I can go out and do, you know what I mean, work and come home and do that. You know what I mean? But if it goes the other way, I'm open for it. As long as the lines of communication stay open and you both agree, then I'm in harmony with that.
That's true. Just like you, my wife cooks, and I try when I come home. I'll do the dishes, pack away, make sure she's done all the cooking. You know, try to do my share. Show appreciation that I appreciate her cooking for me. You know, providing a meal, meal for me. And some guys won't do that. It's not my job. What do you mean it's not your job? You know,
Right.
you're gonna like your bread and butter. She's cooking for you.
Right.
You know, she's got to do everything, make your bed and everything too. I guess. You know, all the time. But no, we have to share it. It's a sharing, and I think for the young people, that part maybe a part that they may not be familiar with is sharing your finances as well.
Right.
They might say, "What's yours is yours, what's mine is mine," but you know, it's going to the same pot. You know, for the end goal is that we together can share and be prosperous. You know,
Right.
and not just one working themselves to death, so to speak.
Right. I agree, Alda. I agree 100% with what you just said.
You do.
Wholeheartedly. You know, because like I'll draw a reference today. You know, and my wife was going to do some shopping. I said, here's my card. She says, I don't need your card. I don't know your number. This means yes, you do. It's right here. It's my number. So it doesn't matter to me what she knows what I have. You know what I mean? Because what I have is hers. You know, and if I needed something, she's not going to refuse me. She's going to say, here, take my card. Matter of fact, she has done that many of times. You know, so I got no qualms with that. You know, because I don't need to hide anything from her because she's my half. She's my other half. I say she's the better half. Sometimes I say she's the best half. You know what I mean? So I give her that prop. So you know what I mean? So that's what keeps the lines of communication open, and it makes it so much easier. So I feel today, you know, if the young men can when they establish a relationship with a young lady, if they start off the right way, it's going to end up the right way. You know what I mean? So, but they need role models. They need role models like yourself out there, like, you know, like other brothers that are doing the right thing. And I say the right thing, even when no one's looking, because that's important too. Even when no one's looking, they're still doing the right thing.
That's true. Another question came in. Do you still believe in marriage for Boaz and Ruth? Well, Matthew, you can take that one if you want. Do you still believe in marriage?
Do I believe in marriage? I'm married.
Well, I'm saying you're married, but still,
yeah, I believe in marriage. I believe in the union. Like I said earlier, you know, the Bible says, "He who findeth a wife findeth a good thing and favor with God." And I believe that if you find that, you know, you're a blessed man, you're a lucky individual. And into the brother, said a little while ago, it's hard because a young lady feels. But when you find a jewel, world's most precious jewel, as a beautiful woman, you know what I mean, to take as your wife, you know, you found something that's special. And if you can continue to do that, you know, you will prosper. Follow the biblical teachings and you will prosper. You've never seen the righteous forsaken or seeing beg bread. So you will prosper when you do the right thing, even when no one's looking. Again, I say that even when no one's looking.
True. I'll take it back to this little scripture a bit. Let's see. Ruth 2:8. Then said Boaz unto Ruth, hearest thou not, my daughter? Do not to glean in another field, neither go from thence, but abide here fast by my maidens. You see the example he get? He don't want to go in elsewhere.
That's right.
He was putting a little seed in there, dropping a little seed. You know,
that's right.
You got to go somewhere else.
That's right. That's right. He said, "That's right here."
His fields are ripe enough for she ain't got to look for nobody else.
Yeah.
That's why I see it. Right, you guys see anything different?
That's right. He was actually saying, "Look, stay right here. You ain't got to go nowhere." You know what I mean? Oh yeah.
It's amazing because he's quite
Boaz,
basically telling
Boaz like what he
us,
was looking. Boaz enjoyed the beauty that was there. You know, he enjoyed the beauty that was there. He said, "Don't go nowhere." You know, his heart was tender. His heart was tender at that point. I
Yeah.
oh yeah,
believe. You know, his heart was tender. This was favorite. You know, he knew in his heart of hearts. You know what I mean? He knew. He knew something.
right.
Same way we knew. Out the same way we knew when you saw Pastor, and you knew right away. I saw what I knew. You know,
Don't go
it's
there.
something that happens inside of you that's undescribable. That well, you just know. Am I right or wrong? You just know.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at pictures this week. She don't know. I was looking at an album this week. Go back some memories. She hasn't seen his album for a while, so I'm sure she'll look at it. Got a question from Eunice overseas. What advice can you give to young men as to how to set boundaries and to develop a moral compass? Matthews?
Boundaries. Boundaries are very, very vitally important, because if you don't have a boundary, you have no limits. And if you don't have no limits, then anything goes. So you have to set boundaries in the beginning. And the boundaries are set by both parties. You know, first of all, you have to realize that one boundary is, first of all, I have to respect her because I want to be respected. So by respecting her, she's going to respect me. That's one boundary that you don't step across. You know, so as you establish the boundaries, you establish a better and more foundational relationship. And that's what is so important, you know, because if you have no boundaries, you have no, what's the word I want to use? There's no justification for what you do. You can just do anything. And so boundaries are absolutely a necessity.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. You have anything to say about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, just piggyback me, and anything good could be catastrophic. So it's just best, just to understand each other and communicate. We're going to do this on well, we're not going to do this, I guess, as it were. We're not going to do this because there's no telling. Once you look over, grass isn't always green on the other side. Once you look past that corner, you'd be like, it's the point of no return now. So that's not even good here.
Also, that boundaries mean rules, and there are certain rules and regulations that are put in place in society, in biblical texts, and all through. We have to have some type of rule and order, because God is not a God of disorder; He's a God of order, and boundaries allow us to set certain principles and values in place, and we need to have them in order to have a good understanding in life. People in general, even not only in the instance with Boaz, not an instance with everything else, but in life, in principle in general, we need to have boundaries. We need to have rules, because when you step over those boundaries, you disrespected somebody, or you disrespected yourself, or you've gone beyond where you should go. So you fell off the deep end. And we're now on the precipice of teaching young men boundaries, because they know no bound. And because they know no bound, what happens is they find themselves in prison. They find themselves in chaos. They find themselves in places and spaces that they don't want to be. So we need to have boundaries in all areas. And in a situation with young ladies, we need to have the boundaries so that we don't disrespect her, because then we dishonor her. You know what I'm saying? So definitely boundaries are awesomely needed.
Yeah, I see that in my workplace sometimes, and I hear all the fathers talk to the young youths and curse them off. They're setting them up for a fall. Because Ben is on his own. He's going to do the same things. He thinks it's normal. Yes, certainly the way he should go. He thinks it's normal to curse somebody off, or
how can you tell him at that point? How can you tell him at that point that they're wrong for thinking that's right?
His read you like a book, and I always say it. The kids are like a sponge. They suck it up.
Yes.
The draw, the written, and everything that you put out there, they're grabbing it, and they're going to remember it. And they may bring it up to you and hurt your heart one day and say, well, you done this.
Yeah.
I saw you do it, and they're going to tell you. And how do you feel about that? I'm admiring when I see director on the keyboard, and the youth are coming up there. They're learning. They're seeing what you do, the drama.
Yeah.
Watching them. My prayer is that outside things stay the same, where they can say the
Mm,
same consistency on the keyboard and same consistency on the drums and guitar, that they
mm,
can
mm.
feel like there ain't no
Right.
difference. You should be the same.
Yeah,
You
because
know.
a lot of what I try to show these young lads is not. I'm not trying to teach them how to play chords. It's more about being disciplined in the situation that you're in, like standing up for the prayer, standing up for the
Mhm.
Apostles' Creed, and things like that. You're not going to be eating your sandwiches back here. Like it's a
Yeah.
respect for the area that you're in and for the position that you're in more than anything.
Yeah.
I must
Train them up.
congratulate you too, brother. I watch you. I watch you in church often, man. And
Thank
the discipline and the respect and the way you conduct yourself, even when you're walking up and down, when you're playing your music. I got to give you props on that, and I got to give it to you openly
thank
and honestly, man. I love the way you do that. So
thank
continue
you.
to keep up
Appreciate
the
it.
great work that you do, man.
I'll
You're a
do my
great
best.
man of God.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
A lot of people watching you.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I was in town at
yeah.
Gorham.
You're
I was in town
watching you
Gorham
even when
State.
you don't
Somebody
know
was
they're
like,
watching you.
yeah, somebody at Gorham State. Hey, Eddie Guy plays on channel 24. Yeah, mask on and over. They still recognize me, so I can't hide.
Yeah,
It's
that's
an
right.
example. It's a testimony. You
Mm-mm.
know,
Hmm.
and they see, and they might come up to you and ask some questions when they know more about it. That's the
Right, right.
opportunity.
That's right.
You drop to see it, and
Mm-mm.
they
Yeah,
see it, and it's good.
yeah. I don't want them to see me out at some club throwing up on the side of the road because I'm drunk. Then like I can't.
Right.
It's almost like I'm two-faced. Like then they're like, oh, I used to trust that guy, but no, wait, like so you never know who's watching you and when.
They'll bring it up in your face too.
Even
Trust
Oh
me.
yeah, they sure will.
They know.
even when no one's looking,
Mm-mm.
even when we think no one's looking,
Right.
someone's watching.
Mm.
Because people say they see me. I say, you sure it's me, not my twin? And they say,
Right.
I'm not a mask on, like you said. They said, no, it's you. I know it's you.
Mm-mm.
Probably have to watch it. They're all testing us sometimes to see how we
Yeah,
respond.
I
You
tell
know.
people, anybody could be Prince Charming on Valentine's Day, but what you doing the day after? So it's like you just got to keep that consistency going. All 365.
Yes.
Mm.
Got you. It's been good talking and getting close to the end. It's a challenge, but like I said, I'm always trying to be an example. Even my daughters, like I said, I try to be respectful to them. Jana likes to learn different things, and because she's a girl doesn't mean I can't teach her certain things about the house. That if for some reason her husband's not there, something goes wrong, she has a way of dealing with it. You
Mm.
know, knowledge is power. So it's
Right.
training
Mhm,
up. Just like Boaz is training up.
Mm.
mhm.
Another question came. What does Ruth look like in 2020? What does Ruth look like in 2020? Well, Matthews, what does Ruth look like in 2020?
Ruth is like the rose's heart, man. Ruth is beautiful. She's gorgeous because if you really look at to find a woman that has so much integrity, so much respect and honor and discipline and all those positive affirmations about in 2020 to find Ruth, like you found a jewel. Ruth was unique.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wow. I when I read the story of Ruth, I have to say, man, I have to look at where she came from and where she deserved everything she got from
Yes.
Boaz. Everything. She deserved it. She earned it. She worked for it. You know what I mean? She was kind enough to do the right things and she listened to instructions, from Naomi. She followed it to the letter. And that's why she got. So today is Ruth, is a woman of God. Today's Ruth
Mm-hmm.
is something to behold, and yeah, I see, hey, I wish the brothers today good luck. You know, you, and I got to say this, guys used to say back in the day, you want to find a good wife, go to church, and they
Mm-hmm.
were right. They're
Mm-hmm.
right. Go to church. Because you're gonna find a woman of God that's gonna do the right thing. That's gonna raise your children right and gonna do the right thing. And that's a Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Ruth. You know,
Yeah.
because she's gonna be there. She's gonna be a godly woman. You know what I mean? So Yeah, and then she's going to learn from the other elder females in church how to conduct herself. So yeah, it's a whole lot to a Ruth today.
Yeah, I think it's putting time, like you said, not just Ruth and Boaz, putting quality time with the young man and young women, like you said, the older ones, take them under the wing.
Mm.
You know, tell them some of the stories, some of the issues they've been through, and how they got where they are today. And I'm sure they'll be surprised of some of the situations they've been through, but still stood tall and on top today because of they stood tall, even though they went through. Just as Boaz and Ruth and Naomi going through, but they stood the time. And that's a good example of Ruth following in the footsteps of Naomi.
In Spanish, they would say mucho bonita, very beautiful, very beautiful. Yes, she'll be beautiful. I mean, if you saw a Ruth today, you know you'll know she's a Ruth because the way she's going to conduct herself, the way she's going to walk in, you know, and everybody is going to say, yeah, she's lovely, she's beautiful,
Right.
she's a good person. You know what I mean? And because you know sometimes you don't have to say a word. Your character and your demeanor speaks volumes for you, and that's what a Ruth is. She'll walk in, and all of a sudden her presence, you know, will demand that observation. You know that, yeah, absolutely.
I have a little note that says, "Do you want to do a part 2?"
My brother and elder, I would do a part 2 if you're willing to do a part 2. It's always okay with me.
All right.
I enjoy this, and if I can, you know, contribute any bit and help anyone, you know, then I'm doing my job.
Yeah, I was sort of reluctant to do it, but like I said, I'm always been one. Like
I thought you was a pro at it. I thought you was a
No.
pro at it. The way you do it so good, Elder. I thought you was a
I'm
pro
not
at
up front. I'm a behind scene person.
What'd you say, brother?
Man always
He's a pro at it, right?
Yeah.
sometimes I'm put up front, and I'll do the best I can with the help of God. I always lean on Him daily, and that's an example in the Bible as well. I wanted to thank the social community for listening in. Thank my participator, Brother Kenneth, Brother Durant. Prayerfully, like the next time around, if it would be, He will enlighten us more to share from the over 30s to the under 20s of how God can keep you. He'll provide, open the doors for you. That's my prayer. I'm thankful. Thank you again. God bless you.
God bless. All right. Bye-bye.
All righty.
Amen.
I'm thankful again for those that listen in. God is blessed. He opened the doors up, and you see the fruits of His lip. I'm thankful that He lives in me. That if He asks me, through someone to do something for Him that will help the community, I'm willing and open. God bless you.